Canada, because it's such a big country, there's actually too much to cover in one webinar. So Western Canada, a little bit. So with the images, I'm sorry, some of them are going to be distorted, I think. But so yeah, so it's prestige holidays, and our tagline is explore, dream, and discover. A range of holiday types you can choose from independent rail, escorted coach, rail tours, self-drive, independent tours. And why visit Canada? Oh my goodness, in a nutshell, here we go. So spectacular scenery. Yeah, I think the scenery rivals anything you'll see anywhere in the world. If anybody's been to New Zealand, the Rocky Mountains are very much like the South Island around Queenstown. But, you know, there's something for everybody as far as the scenery goes. Incredible wildlife viewing, you know, where you'll see a couple of slides further on that I've taken just off the side of the road. And BC and Alberta in particular are well known for their wildlife viewing. Friendly locals. I like to think I'm a good example. I'm actually a Canadian citizen. I've lived in Calgary for 13 years, been working with the Canadian product for nigh on 30 years, including the length, you know, the time I lived there. And, you know, you can stand on a street corner and with a map, and somebody will ask how they can help you. I think it's the service, how I understand it, it's the service levels of the US without the brashness and without the oh, have a nice day. You know, it's quite sincere. So the locals are very friendly and very welcoming. And it's the world's second largest country, which is why, you know, why we're focusing on just the 2 Western provinces today. Happy to do another one of these on Eastern Canada if anybody wants one at a later stage, or if Charlie wants one at some point. But let's focus on Alberta and BC for today. And English spoken throughout. So although it is a bilingual country, English is widely spoken even in Quebec. And just throw in something here, everybody would naturally assume that Quebec is the bilingual province, but there's actually only one, and that's New Brunswick, where everything is in French and English. But you can travel, as long as you don't go too far north into Quebec, English is spoken. So easy to make ourselves known, even with my Norfolk accent. A little bit about the flying times, because I think, you know, it's the second largest country. Everybody has an idea of how long it's going to get there, but it's nothing like Australia. So on the eastern seaboard, in Halifax in Nova Scotia, 6 hours, Montreal 7, Toronto 7.5, and the Western provinces 8.5 to 9 hours. So it's really not as long a flying time as you might well imagine. And I find even if I'm going to Vancouver, by the time I've got myself settled, put my headset on, watched a movie, had something to eat, you know, 9 hours passes pretty quick. So, or it can do anyway. I'm not very talkative on a flight. I put my headset on and catch up with my movies. Just a little bit about the exchange rate. We checked this today, and it's currently, for every pound, it's around about 1.62 Canadian dollars. So just to give you an idea, you can see there that, you know, some ideas for you. Should explain that wine and beer is quite expensive, because in every province there's a liquor tax, as well as provincial sales tax or general sales tax. There's also a liquor tax. So, but, you know, if you're going to have a nice dinner, you're going to have a bottle of wine or a glass of wine regardless, aren't you? You're on holiday, they say. Season, summer, short and hot. You know, Canada has a reputation of perhaps of being a little bit cold, but I've been through the Okanagan Valley and seen a sign saying 42 degrees. There are deserts in Canada as well. So it is a very, very hot country at times. Autumn, you'll see from the right-hand image, that's Ontario, actually. Beautiful fall colours. Even in Alberta and BC, you don't get the maples, but you get the golden larch trees, and it's stunning in autumn. Winter, sunny and cold. Anybody who wants to go there with the family and be guaranteed some snow, that's the time to go. Spring, nice, April, May time, love traveling there. It's shoulder season, so the flights are less expensive, but also to remember, and if you travel too early in May, the lakes in the Rockies are still going to be frozen. So, you know, it may seem an inexpensive time, but if you want to see the beautiful colours like you're seeing in on the Bow River, for instance, in the middle image, you need to be there at the earliest middle to the third week in May. Just really how big the country is. Biggest mistake is to try and do too much in one go. So my recommendation would be to stick with Alberta and BC, which we're presenting today, and then Quebec and Ontario as a second trip, and maritime provinces of Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Prince Edward Island, Newfoundland of your time. Right, so we're going to be heading into British Columbia first. Just circled it just so you can see where we're talking about, on the Pacific Ocean. To where we are. So we're going to start off in Bang, and then we're heading to Victoria. We're then heading across Vancouver Island to Tofino. Victoria to Tofino is about a 5-hour drive, but you can fly it as well. As you can see, there's only one road heading across the island. So when you come back, you're going to see the same scenery coming back, but it's well worth it. And then we're going to go, driving, you Whistler, you do Kamloops, and it's always up to up here. So beautiful, stunning drive through a host of different scenic attractions, including a semi-arid desert, ranchlands. Just north of Whistler around here is famous for the gold rush, so it's got some gold rush history around there too. Green, Vancouver's gateway city for the cruising and Rocky Mountaineer. Amazing wildlife, including grizzly, spirit bear, and black bear, and whales. Just a little bit, just for information about the spirit bear, it's because it's white, but it is actually a black bear with a recessive gene. So we know it's a spirit bear, but it's actually it is a species of a black bear. And spectacular scenery for you to explore and discover. And the world-renowned ski resorts, including Whistler. So if you want some great skiing, Whistler certainly offers that. And also there's smaller resorts such as Sun Peaks, Revelstoke. There's a host of, but we're going to concentrate on summer for the purpose of this presentation. Vancouver, oh my goodness. It's stunning. It is a beautiful city, always rated in the top 10 places to live, usually in the top 5, often in the top 3. So as you can see, the downtown area is quite small. It's quite condensed, very walkable. Here we've got the cruise ship terminal. So for anybody who wants the Alaska cruise, right downtown. So you stay in this hotel, Pan Pacific Hotel, walk down or take the lift down, and you're in the cruise ship terminal. Here is Cole Harbour, where all the float planes take off from. So again, if you want a float plane excursion, that's right downtown as well. Here is Stanley Park, which is the second largest green space, second only to Central Park in New York. But this is all rainforest and beaches. It's beautiful, you know, it's just a stunning area for walking. Nice walk through there, lovely rose gardens, lots of weddings take place in there. Also a famous aquarium, which is it's conserved, it's one where it's not just for viewing, they do a lot of research there as well. And this is all English Bay, so you can see the ships coming in. They're not just cruise ships, they're freight as well, which is all downloaded or offloaded further along here. But just a stunning city. So one of the major attractions in Vancouver is Grouse Mountain and Capilano Suspension Bridge. They're on the North Shore, so where the downtown area opposite that is called the North Shore. And this is a full day to visit both attractions. So up at Grouse Mountain, they've got a couple of grizzly bears that were, the mum was killed by a car, so they took the two cubs, and they're at the summit of Grouse Mountain. But there's also wood carving there. There's birds of prey exhibits. There's all kinds of activities up there. Great for families, also great for couples. Nice restaurant overlooking the mountain as well. And then there's also the Capilano Suspension Bridge, which goes over the Capilano River. I'm sorry you can't see this one image because that really shows it off extremely well. But, you know, both attractions are easily accessible from downtown via courtesy buses. The Grouse Mountain and Capilano are not linked, they're separate attractions. So you would take a courtesy bus from downtown to Grouse Mountain, then you would return and take another bus up to Capilano. So it's a full day and well worth the time. Another attraction in Vancouver, this is called False Creek here, and it's called False Creek because when they first explored this area, they actually thought this was the main harbour. Of course it's not, so hence the name False Creek. Granville Island Public Market, great place for lunch. It's where the locals shop as well, so lots to see and do there. Lots of artisan type little shops as well. So nice place to stop for lunch, but also you know, some really interesting little restaurants and bars and that around there. And you can reach it by water taxi, which from here, just around here, there's a water taxi, crosses here, and then there's another one you can go across the other way to continue your walk around the downtown area. A couple of other attractions. This is the Vancouver Lookout Tower, for which we can include admission, or you can just go up there on as and when the sea, you know, the weather's nice, just go up there and see. And you can actually see how close it is because that's the cruise ship terminal right there. And up at Stanley Park, which I mentioned before, there's a big display of totem poles, or story poles as they're more commonly known now. So each one tells the story of an Indigenous family or tribe. We're heading across to Victoria now on Vancouver Island. Reach it by float plane or by ferry. Victoria is the capital city of British Columbia. And there's the Parliament buildings. Again, a very, very pretty city, quite small, quite walkable, lots to see and do. Definitely, oh, I should have mentioned in Vancouver, I recommend a minimum 3-night stay. Victoria, definitely 2-3 night stay. The world famous Bouchard Gardens, for anybody who likes to have a wander around the gardens. So this is one of my favourite attractions in all of Canada. It's an old quarry which was changed into these gardens, so it's all on different levels. And again, half a day is recommended at least to wander around. Do a great afternoon tea there as well for anybody, but please pre-book it. And every Saturday night in the summer, they have a fireworks display. And again, there is a courtesy bus which goes from downtown Victoria to the gardens on a regular schedule. If you don't have your own car, the bus makes a great way of getting there. And Victoria is famous for whale watching. Just between the border, the waters between Canada and the US, there's 3 resident pods of orca that inhabit the area. So J, K, and L pods. I think it's L. Anyway, there's 3 pods of killer whales, and so this is a must-do when you're in Victoria. Other things you're likely to see on the boat while you're on the boat is lots of bald eagles around. There's sea otters, there's sea lions, there's seals, as well as orca. There's humpback in the area. So, you know, for families, it's a great excursion. For couples, it's you know, it's a must do really. And just to say that if you wanted to, if you're short of time, you can actually link Bouchard Gardens with whale watching on a day excursion. So transportation between the 2 is included and makes a really, really nice day excursion. And we're heading up to the island now. If you saw on the map, I pointed out that we have to cross over on the island, Vancouver Island, onto the west coast. And we're in Tofino, which is probably, very close to being my favourite place in all of Canada. It's so this is one of the hotels. It's the Wickeninish Inn, but you can see it's on the Wickeninish beach. So between Tofino and New Clulet, there's 5 individual beaches. So 22 miles between Tofino and New Clulet, made up of the five beaches. Here is Long Beach Lodge, which is on Long Beach. So one of the 5 beaches. And the sunsets, this is the dining room right here, and the sunsets, just amazing views from the dining room of the sunset over the Pacific Ocean. This one, unfortunately, I should have changed this presentation a little bit, but this is Emerald Lake Lodge. It's closer to the border with Alberta, but it's a great, oh, what's that doing there? Sorry, I'm going to ignore that one because that is actually the wrong, that's not in Tofino. Ignore that one, sorry. So this slide has got mixed up. Really, really sorry. Concentrate on these 2. I admit my mistake. Concentrate on these 2. So Tofino, this is the Pacific Rim National Park. So where I pointed out, the hotel is here, and you can see the beaches. Stunning. And all along the coastline here, there's hikes, there's rainforest, there's hot springs to explore. Just an incredible area. Black bear viewing is a must-do when you're in Tofino. Mum and cubs, what they do is at low tide, they come out to turn over the rocks and look for rock crabs and mussels and different shellfish. So, and you're guaranteed to see them. It really is 3 hours on a boat excursion. It's great black bear viewing and whale watching. So not orca out of Tofino, we're into humpback and Pacific grey whales here primarily. We'll cross back from Vancouver Island.
Yeah. Please, can I just ask that those just on Tofino, the whale watching, is that summer season?
It starts in April and goes through to middle of October. Okay. And the same with the bears. The bears don't actually really hibernate on Vancouver Island because it's not that cold, but they go into a semi-hibernation, so they actually come out earlier than some other areas. So mid-April through to mid-October, you'll see them.
Great, thanks.
So we've crossed over back across to the mainland, and as I mentioned, this is via the North Ferry. So we're heading into Whistler. And while I said at the beginning that it's a world-class winter resort, I actually prefer it in summer. There is so much to do and see here. You can see the ski hills here. But in the summer, there's canoeing, bear viewing, all kinds of mountains biking, hiking, you name it, you can do it here. The other attraction, which is the main attraction for me, is this peak to peak. It's the longest horizontal gondola in the world, and it links the summit of Blackcomb and Whistler Mountains, and the views are just tremendous. To get to that, you have to go up this gondola, and from here, the chance of seeing black bear is in the summer is really good, because what they're doing is they're feeding on the clover and the spring or summer flowers. So really good chance of seeing black bear from this gondola, not from this one because you're too high up. But again, you get great views. You can just do this gondola. You don't have to do the peak to peak, but I'd recommend you do both. Zip lining, another family favourite, or couple's favourite if you're quite brave. I tried it once. I must admit I'm not awfully keen. Canoeing is probably a bit safer for me. So, but yeah, zip lining is a must do for teenage kids, especially, love them. And black bears, again, in around Whistler, there's about 80 black bears in the general area. It's a really good chance of seeing them. Occasionally they even wander into the village, so you can see them there. This one was actually taken from the gondola, so shows how easy it is to see them. I'm just going to touch on this area. It's the Okanagan, and this is where I said the temperatures. I saw the temperatures reaching 42 degrees. This is wine country, vineyards, orchards, and they produce some of the best wines. So not necessarily to visit there, but if you're in a restaurant and you see an Okanagan wine, yeah, go for it. That's would be my recommendation. A host of ranches, resorts and lodges in BC. So some great properties to pick from. Echo Valley, which is in the Chilcotin region. So this is near the Gold Rush history area, and some, beautiful ranch. Sonora Resort, which is on Sonora Island, between Vancouver Island and the mainland. Tyaks Resort, which you can reach on the drive from Whistler to Jasper. This one in particular is really good for families. You can see that it's on its own lake, and there's a host of activities here to do, including some really good water sports. And BC is famous for its bear viewing, as I mentioned. So we feature a host of bear viewing lodges. Night Inlet Lodge is probably the best known and the favourite one. Spirit Bear Lodge, Farewell Harbour Lodge, Grizzly Bear Ranch, and Great Bear Lodge. This image at the bottom was taken at Night Inlet, and this one is a spirit bear. So for Night Inlet Lodge, just to give you an idea, you fly in. It's the only way to get there. There is a float plane here somewhere, but it's a floating lodge, so everything is taken from the river. The boats take you across the estuary to do the bear viewing. And in here, there's seals, there's otters you can see. You can occasionally see a black bear wandering around the back of the property here as well. There's hummingbirds. The hummingbirds are absolutely beautiful around here. They come, they've got all feeders everywhere along the side here. There's feeders, hummingbird feeders, so you can see them. And there's a resident swallow that nests above the door to the dining area as well. So, and with binoculars, you can actually see from the patio area here. In the summer, there's all tables and chairs. With binoculars, you can see across the estuary, and you can see bears the other side of the estuary. So that's always fun. But after a hard day's bear viewing, you come back and sit on the patio here, and they bring out some appetizers, have a cold beer, or a nice glass of wine. Get your binoculars out and watch the bears. You're in paradise. No telephone connection, no TVs. So perhaps not, if you depend on your Wi-Fi, perhaps not the place to go, but honestly, for 2 or 3 nights, that's my idea of paradise. So the summer viewing is done by boat, and the bears feed on the sedge grasses along the estuary. The salmon aren't running yet, so that's why they've come out of hibernation, and they're feeding on the grasses. And this is high protein grass. It's surprising how much they can eat of it, but it's very high protein. And in the autumn, you go to the hides and view from here. And the bears do walk under, they're all down here, the river is just down here. And that's typically what you're going to see in the autumn viewing. Up here with binoculars, but you don't actually need your binoculars, because they are literally just in front of you here. That's why I say it's my idea of paradise, because bears on tap, basically. The thing about Vancouver, we did quickly point out that it's the departure and arrival point for Alaska cruisers. So it's an ideal way to start your holiday or to end it. If you're going from Alberta to BC, either you can end with a cruise or you can start with it. And we work with all the major cruise lines, but Charlie will point you in the right direction for those. Glacier Bay National Park, there's only a couple of cruise lines that get permission to go into Glacier Bay, but this is what you're going to see, and always look for a cruise line that does let you go to Glacier Bay. It's just amazing scenery, and very different to what you would have seen elsewhere in BC or in BC. Typically, while you're on the cruise as well, you'll make 4 stops, and one of them this is Ketchikan, this is Creek Street, which is built on the water, and this is Skagway. So this is Gold Rush history area, and it retains its natural appeal. You can see the boardwalks, all the buildings are wood. Some of these are original, although they've been obviously decorated and that, but they are the original buildings. So how do you get from British Columbia to Alberta? You can drive it, and the drive is very easy and very beautiful. Something I would recommend for anybody who feels comfortable driving. You can drive it, and you get, through us, you would get all your road maps and all your driving instructions, etc. But for many of our clients, they want to take the Rocky Mountaineer. So just as examples, so we're just going to flick through a little bit about the Rocky Mountaineer service. 2 levels. Yeah, Nancy, is this what is this of interest? You're muted, so.
Muted. Yeah, it's all looking wonderful.
Good. Sorry, I have a habit of dragging on a bit, so I will try and. So we've got silver leaf and gold leaf service on board the Rocky Mountaineer, and it's classed as one of the most spectacular rail journeys in the world. Just so you can start from Vancouver. There's a route which will take you Whistler, Quesnel into Jasper, and that's a 3-day, 2-night journey. The other route is Vancouver to Kamloops, and then the train splits. So half of it goes to Jasper, half of it goes to Lake Louise or Banff. Not literally half, as many carriages as need be. So a 3-day journey or 2 2-day journeys to choose from.
Just to
Gold leaf service.
Denise, just to clarify, you don't actually stay on the train though, do you? You stay.
No, so while you're on the 2-day journey, you'll have an overnight stay in Kamloops. And when you arrive into Kamloops, a coach picks you up, takes you to your hotel. Next morning, it picks you up and takes you back to the train station to board for the second day. On the 3-day rail journey, which is they're longer days, but the scenery, you're just seeing that much more because of where you're going. So, and you overnight in Quesnel and Whistler on the 3-day, 2-night journey. So the gold leaf carriage, just to give you an idea, it's a double-decker. The dining room is down here, and this is the dome that you're seeing here. There's a spiral staircase to get up to the upper level, or there's a lift for anybody who perhaps has a problem with walking up the stairs. So gold leaf, very sociable. Let's give you an idea. So this is the dining car. So for both silverleaf and gold leaf, you get breakfast and lunch on board, and it's a 3-course breakfast and a 3-course lunch, afternoon snack, lots of food, alcohol included, and they serve all BC wines as well. It's a great opportunity to try some decent BC wines, but it's all included. And then Silverleaf service, you can see the difference. It's a semi-dome car, but the great big windows. So, you know, don't think that Silverleaf doesn't offer you a really good service, because it does. But the thing with it is the meals are served to your seat. So there is a menu choice, but you don't go down to the dining car to eat. I love this image. I think Charlie was taken by this image as well. Yeah. So these are the gold leaf carriages, and these are the silver leaf, just to give you an idea. And this is the Fraser River. So it's typically of what some of the scenery is like on board. They are 2 full days, really, of ever-changing scenery. One of the highest bridges in British Columbia, which the train goes over, Cisco Bridge. And I could have shown you loads and loads of different images, but, you know, trust me, there's some great scenery. The other way of getting between Vancouver and Jasper is via Rails the Canadian. This is the cross-country train, but you can just hop on and get off at Jasper. It's a overnight train, so you actually do sleep on board this one. And we're heading into Mount Robson there, which is the near Jasper National Park, and it's the tallest peak in the Canadian Rockies. So 2 rail services. You can drive it with a car or motorhome. Lots of ways to get around. Any questions on BC, or do we go on and we'll do them at the end? You okay, Charlie?
Yeah, I've got questions maybe at the end, but no. Anyone else got anything at the moment? Let's push on.
Yep. Okay, so we're heading into Alberta now. Again, you can see we've covered a bit of British Columbia, and now we're heading into the neighbouring province of Alberta. A bit of a blown up map just to give you an idea. So typically international flights will come into Calgary, and then what we're covering today is the Rocky Mountains. So in particular, Banff, Lake Louise and Jasper, which are the key points. But here you can see British Columbia, Kamloops, where the train overnights, Rocky Mountaineer overnights. And you can see where it would go up to Jasper, or heads into Lake Louise and then onto Banff. Should also just quickly mention, I know it's in British Columbia, but Yoho National Park is well worth a visit while you're at Lake Louise. It's got the 3rd highest waterfall in Canada just here, and Emerald Lake Lodge. So if you've got a car, really nice little day trip out there. Even from Banff, it's very accessible. So let me just give you an idea of the driving times as well before we head into these areas. So Calgary to Banff is about 1 hour and 3/4. To Lake Louise is around about 1 hour. And then from Lake Louise to Jasper is as long as you want to make it. I'll show you some scenery along the way. Typically, you could do it in 4 hours, but you wouldn't want to because there's so much to see along the way. So Alberta, it's a gateway to the Rocky Mountains. It's Banff and Jasper National Parks. One of the few places in the world you can walk on the glacier. Wildlife viewing, particularly elk, moose and black bear, although you can occasionally see grizzly bear around Lake Louise. home to the famous Calgary Stampede. Rocky Mountaineer stations, as we mentioned. The First Nations culture is very important in Alberta, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. And again, there's some world-class skiing resorts in both Banff and Jasper, and even Lake Louise. Sunshine Mountain, actually, not Lake Louise, Sunshine. So the Calgary Stampede, the 11 days or 12 days, whatever it is, of mayhem, really. It's such an exciting time to be in Calgary. So much going on. Everybody gets into the spirit of the Stampede. Everybody dresses Western. You can't tell who's the owner of a multinational company to who perhaps works in a hotel, because everybody dresses Western. It's just a fun time, the best time to be in Calgary. So in the afternoon, you have the rodeo events such as bareback riding, bull riding, things like that. And then in the evening, you have these chuck wagon races, and then and a grandstand show. And every night ends in a majestic firework display. So recommend that you have 2 full days at the Stampede, because there really is so much to see and do, to take in, as well as the activities like this. They have lots of other Western activities going on. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the Indigenous culture of Alberta, because the Calgary Stampede, it's very prevalent. So they have a camp, Elbow River Camp, set up with teepees. You can go and visit them. They allow you to go in and visit the teepees. You can taste bannock and some of their other traditional foods, but also you get to see their traditional dancing. And you see how colourful it is. It's quite exciting, but it's also a really good insight into the Indigenous people, who obviously, are very important to Canada, as they are throughout the world, really, whether it's the Aboriginals or whoever. But the First Nations tribes, there's 7 major tribes around the Calgary area, and they all get to take part in the Stampede. So you could have the Blackfoot tribe, the Sarcee tribe, what on earth are the others? I can't remember. Anyway, there's seven tribes, all who have their I don't want to say reservations, but their areas around Calgary, and they are celebrated at the Calgary Stampede. So Calgary itself, you've got the Calgary Towers. It's a very modern city. This is where the hockey team plays. It's called the Saddle Dome because it's shaped like a saddle. And when we lived there, my husband actually had, the company he was working for was actually involved in the design of this. So we've got a little bit of a connection with it, not much, but a little bit. And to find out about the Western heritage of Alberta, we do recommend there's a heritage park, which is within the city limits. You can ride a steam train. Again, you can see an RCMP outpost. You can see a schoolhouse, a bakery, a bar, a saloon, I should say. And it really is an exciting day, a full day, well worth a visit there. And you can see the Rocky Mountains here, so you can see Calgary, how close it is to the Rocky Mountains as well. That's why I said it's only an hour-and-a-half drive, but from the Calgary Tower you can see the Rockies, and it's just incredible how close you are. We're heading into Banff, as I mentioned. It's about an hour-and-a-half drive from Calgary. You can hire a car, or there are scheduled transfers. You don't need to drive if you don't want to. And this is the main avenue. This is Banff Avenue. This is the Bow River here. Mount Rundle in the background. You're surrounded by mountains. Great museums here as well. Some really nice. Minimum two night stay. Recommend 3 nights to see as much as you want. And again, I'm sorry I didn't plan this very well, but here's the gondola up to the summit of Sulphur Mountain. And when you're there, this is what you see. So this is the town site of Banff with the Bow River. And this is the best way to get the views of Banff town site here, and your back view would be of 6 mountain ranges. Great hike from up here as well. Usually mountain sheep, chipmunks to be seen around here, gophers as well. So the mountain sheep are quite prevalent up here, always on the scrounge for something to eat. But you can actually see how warm it is as well in the summer. Beautiful, you know, clear blue day. Lakes you can see, you know, just stunning scenery from the top of the summit of the Sulphur Mountain. The reason for showing you this image is for any golfers. This is the Fairmont Banff Springs golf course here, 18 holes of wonderful golfing. Bow River, you can do a float trip on the Bow River as well, which these people are here. There's Bow Falls here, which are nice, not huge waterfalls, but very scenic. And just, you know, I just wanted to show you this because this is one of the top, if not the top hotel in Banff, and it's the castle in the mountains. Scenery galore, sport for choice around Banff and Jasper National Parks, and just beautiful. Great wildlife viewing again in Banff. We've got the elk here, and you can just see the bear and these silly people who have got out to have a look at it, and not recommended, but that's how easy it is to see wildlife. And this is near the base of the gondola. So, and this is the hot springs. So Banff National Park is the very first national park in Canada, and the reason it was founded was because 2 fur traders were in the area and they saw some steam rising, and they investigated and found these hot springs. I bet they had a great bath, because they probably hadn't had a bath for ages, had they? So, so now it's a natural attraction. This is mineral water, smells sulphur. You know what sulphur smells like, but it's especially in winter, because it maintains the temperature all year round. So go for a dip in the natural hot springs. From Jasper, from Banff, you head up to Lake Louise, which is here. So this is the famous Fairmont Chateau Lake Louise, with this is the Lake Louise itself, Victoria Glacier in the background. This is perhaps a better image taken from the shoreline. So Victoria Glacier here, and the stunning Lake Louise. And it's the start of the Icefields Parkway route. Oh, another one of Lake Louise. There we go, another view of it. Canoeing is a major feature, obviously, in Lake Louise. In winter, you can play hockey on the lake, or you can go ice fishing. Lots there. So this is the main image for the Icefields Parkway. So you'd leave Lake Louise and head out just a mile to join the Icefields Parkway. And this is the type of scenery you're going to see on the road to Jasper. You can see it's not a problem driving. Yes, it's a 1-lane highway each way, but nobody chases around. There's never a traffic jam. The only time you're going to get into traffic is if what's called a bear jam. So you're going to get a bear on the side of the road and the traffic's going to back up for miles. But, you know, the park rangers are around and they've moved people on because, you know, you can't have the wildlife being disturbed. But every corner of this drive there's another glacier to see, another waterfall to see, another canyon to see. It is just a magnificent drive, and rated one of the top drives in all of North America. I just love that drive. You do it at different times of the day. The sunlight is different. You know, even coming back from, if you were driving at Jasper to Lake Louise, you would see it in a different way. It is just absolutely amazing scenery. On way, we recommend a stop. This is Moraine Lake. And this is a glacial lake, hence the colour. So it's the meltwaters of a glacier, which gives it this beautiful blue-green colour. And this is why I say don't go too early in May, because this will be frozen and you won't get the full impact of it. So roughly halfway, a little bit closer to Jasper than Lake Louise, is the Columbia ice fields. And here there's 22 glaciers which form the Columbia ice fields, but this is the Athabasca Glacier, and you can take an Ice Explorer journey onto it. You can get off, have a walk around. Here there's some meltwaters, which they let you drink. Take a bottle with you so you can drink the meltwaters, because it's pure water. Little bit cold, it can be a little bit cold on there because it's wide open, but well worth a visit for anybody going on the Icefields Parkway. It's not to be missed. And you can only get to it by that Ice Explorer. You can't drive onto it. You have to park on the opposite side of the road and take a coach and then the Ice Explorer. And part of the same attraction, a little bit further up the road, is the Glacier Skywalk, which overlooks the Sunwater Valley. So where you've parked your car, another coach will take you up here to look at walk the glass floor if you dare. If not, stay at the back. There's a walkway here which is solid. And around here, there's quite often mountain goats you can see from the Skywalk as well. But there's Sunwater Valley, you can look either direction, mountains all are, right in front of you, and the valley for as far as you can see. Another attraction on the way to Jasper, this is the Athabasca Falls, but there's also the Sunwater Falls as well. This is just outside Jasper, so you're very close to Jasper now. And there we are, we're into Jasper. Small mountain resort. Demand always exceeds supply for hotels because there's only a few, and because it's a national park they can't build any more, so it does get very busy, especially in September, so early booking recommended. But it's not commercialized. Banff is beautiful, but it's more commercialized than Jasper, so if you want a more natural experience, then Jasper is for you. And this image here is the Jasper Tramway, which overlooks, so you go up to the summit of Whistler Mountain, named after a marmot which whistles, and you do see them up there, and you overlook the Jasper town site. Mountain goats, quite prevalent in the area, as I've mentioned, and Jasper is the better area, better chance of seeing moose in Jasper rather than Banff. And this is what I wanted to show you, because I said to you about how easy it is to see wildlife. These are a couple of photos I've taken. So this is heading up to Malign Lake. Just a mum and a cub black bear. This is the shoreline of Medicine Lake, and there's always mountain sheep to be seen. But it just proves that they are there. It's not just professional photographers who get to see them. And I know a lot of people want a typical lodge experience, so I just put this one in. This is the Fairmont Jasper Park Lodge, on its own lake again, outside of the town site, surrounded by mountains, and easily 2 or 3 days. Great golfing again, but the place to really chill out and relax. And while in Jasper, the Malign Lake cruise, this is only accessible again by boat. This is Spirit Island, which is a traditional place for the indigenous people. Once a year they come here and they congregate, have a powwow, but you can get to it on a boat cruise, and it's just amazing because the mountains are all around you, and it's one of the most photographed lakes in the world. But I say you have to go out by boat to actually see it in the best way. I was lucky enough to do this a few years ago, and a mum grizzly and 2 cubs swam across on a narrow point. Oh, I love the cat. swam across right in front of the boat. So just a little bit about getting around Canada. Yeah, we can do car hire, self-drive, the via rail, motorhomes, all kinds of ways to get around, which Charlie is well familiar with. Flight information, we use all the major airlines, so whoever you prefer to fly with, we can look at that. And thank you very much for listening. I think I probably exceeded my time, and I'm sorry about that, but it's very hard to talk about Canada in any less than, even that part of Canada. So thank you very much. Appreciate you taking the time to listen to me.
Denise, thank you so much. That was absolutely brilliant. Wow. What a place. Wow, just so spectacular there. And I just can't wait to get out there. Bit of exploring myself. Has anyone got any questions? I mean, I've got a couple, but has anyone got any immediate questions they had at the moment, or anything on chat, or anything they wanted to ask?
Yeah, could I just do you think you could do both BC and Alberta in a one fortnight's holiday, or do you think that you'd have to do them separately?
I think you can do them in 14 nights. If you had 17, to do the kind of itinerary that I've discussed would be better, just to allow yourself that little bit of time. But certainly 17, 18 nights, yeah, perfectly doable.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, there's the driving route from Jasper across to let's say Whistler and the coast is, some quite long distances in there, Denise, aren't there?
Well, you'd break them up. So from Jasper, you'd go to Clearwater and spend some time, a couple of nights there, perhaps going into Wellsgrey Provincial Park, Wellsgrey Provincial Park. And then I'd recommend you go straight through to Whistler. And yes, it's a 5.5 hour drive, but there's nowhere you would necessarily want to stay en route. Okay. So yeah, it's a longer drive, but perfectly doable because the road is good. The traffic, you're not sort of held up. It's not stop-start traffic, so perfectly doable. And we would never put anything together that I personally wouldn't drive myself.
And something that comes up a bit, and I'm sure you can, I'm sure you must do this as well, is that if people want to link southern British Columbia in with perhaps Washington, Portland, Seattle, that's easy to do, is it?
Yeah, there's a really good ferry service actually from Victoria to Seattle. You can take the Victoria Clipper. So you could do your Western Canada bit, end up in Victoria, drop your car in Victoria or drop it in Vancouver and hop on the coach and ferry to Victoria, and then take the ferry to Seattle and then pick up another car or do whatever you wanted to do in that area. Or there's Amtrak, which links Vancouver and Seattle. So yeah, it's very easy to do, much easier actually than what you may envisage.
Okay. For people who want to do hiking or walking, I mean, I'm sure there's obviously clearly a lot of day trips and those sort of things. Is it possible to set up or to get slightly longer walking options lined up or hiking options lined up?
You can do from Banff, they do a full day, there's a full day excursion of a signature hike, which includes a packed lunch and things like that, and it goes to different areas, so there's that. There are companies who specialise in sort of day hikes, and you come back to an area, but you can actually just pick up a hiking map and go and do it yourself as well, because where I've shown some of those areas, you can actually just drive up, walk around the lake, hike off. It's very doable, easily doable from there. Even from Banff town site, there's a hike you can do up around Supplies Corner and that area. So very easy to hike around, definitely.
And then I suppose the sort of the $1 million question, is it possible to give a sort of indication of typical prices? I mean, I know it's, it depends on accommodation and times of year and that sort of stuff, but, for a couple, if you're not going high season? Yeah,
for a couple looking for perhaps June or September, which would be my choice of months to go. standard sort of accommodation, a sensible vehicle if you're going to self-drive it. I don't know, depending, again, the airfare is the biggest part because it depends on the airline. You know, you could do it for £6,500 perhaps, up to £11,000, especially including the Rocky Mountaineer. So
yep.
The thing is, we tailor, as you know, everything is tailored to what an individual wants. We do some escorted touring, but our speciality is putting together your holiday on a very individual basis. And that's what we like to do. And we like a challenge as well. So if you've got something different that I quite fancy, is that possible? We kind of like researching and seeing if something is possible.
Well, it certainly is. It does look obviously amazing, those bears as well. Has anyone else got any more questions out there?
How much is the rail trip, the Rocky Mountaineer, and the difference between the silver and the gold?
And the difference is around about 400, off the top of my head, about £470 per person.
Wow.
So it is significant if you looked on it on that basis. But what we find is, you know, quite honestly, a lot of our clients will compromise. Perhaps they'll stay in a nice 3.5-star hotel and then do the gold leaf. Because a 3.5-star hotel in Canada, which is basically what I would look to stay in, 3.5, 4-star. I'm out and about, so I don't use the swimming pool particularly. I don't use the spa, things like that. So, you know, you can make up that difference quite easily with your hotel choices. But
the actual cost of the trip though, if you're doing silver.
Oh, sorry,
leaf.
I thought we understood the difference between the two.
Both, I think, yeah.
Silver leaf would be about 2,400 per person, per couple, and then gold leaf you're adding, you know, just under 1,000 onto that. Okay. But it depends on the season as well, because there's low season and high season on the train as well. So. And then you can get dates where the load is not so great, so we can get a saving on that as well.
I just want to people's questions.
Thanks. Yeah, I mean it's an amazing service, but it's certainly it's
a premium price.
It is a premium price, and I think what you're saying is the difference between the silver and the gold is within that. It's not that great, is what we're really getting at.
Not significantly, I don't believe. I personally would. You know, I think if you're going to do it once, then I would suggest the gold leaf is the right thing to do. But also, as I said, we can look at other avenues where you can make that viable if there's a little bit of concern about how expensive it is.
Yeah.
Sorry, there was one other question for me as well. When's the Calgary Stampede? Is it, what time of year is that?
July. That's always okay. July, and it's usually the first Friday of the month. But next year, I think the 9th is the Friday, 9th to the 18th. So it goes. It goes to the Sunday of the second weekend, and the Sunday is finals day. So all during the rodeo and the chuck wagon races, they're competing. During each day, but then finals day is the peak of the tournament, if you like, because that's when the prize money is given out, and this is significant prize money. This is thousands of pounds, thousands of dollars prize money is awarded. So Sunday, the final Sunday, which pretty shows the 18th next year, is a really good time to be in the city.
Great. That's fantastic. Anyone else?
Yeah, so just to say, you say that that's in July. I mean, does the whole area get really busy in the summer months, or no?
It gets busy because there's a lot of coach tours which go through, and of course it's summer holidays for the kids as well. So it never gets heaving, if you like, because there's limited accommodation. I prefer June and September simply because it is out of out of season a little bit. It's not high season. It's you know, to me, it's the best time to be there, but it never gets really, really busy. And so if you wanted to do the Stampede and then go through the Rockies, you wouldn't have a problem as long as we booked it early enough, booked the accommodation early enough.
Great. Well, I think, Denise, you've done us very proud there. Look, just absolutely just amazing, and it was brilliant to see it. So thank you so much indeed for doing that. You know, it really was, you know, spectacular, and you really brought it to life, which is just superb. Thanks so much. And for everyone else, thanks for joining us. We've got a few webinars coming up over the next month or so. 2 weeks time, the next one is Chile and Argentina on the 2nd of July. If you'd like to join us for that, we'll put the notes up on Facebook, Twitter, and our normal marketing emails. And once again, thanks Denise, and thanks everyone for joining us. It was it's great to hear about British Columbia.
Thank you for
Thanks,
inviting me.
Denise. That's really
Thank you.
good.